Name me a bigger dickhead in any movie than this character right here. Go on, I've got time. Name me one. In fact, drop it in the comment below. Name me a more annoying character than this guy. Hey guys, how is it all going? So, thank you so much for joining me for what is my Friday the 13th, 2009 remake movie review. And before we dive into the review, just to give you a quick plot of the remake, pretty much the same as every other Friday the 13th movie. There's a group of young people, teenagers, go to Camp Crystal Lake for the weekend to have a good time, a bit of drinking, a bit of sex, as typical young people do. But unbeknownst to them, there's a nasty bastard called Jason Voorhes who does not want them there and is going to kill them one by one. So, I remember the remake coming out and I was so excited for the remake, and it was the only Friday the 13th movie I ever got to watch at the cinema because, believe it or not, I was too young to watch all the other ones that came out in the 80s and the early 90s. I didn't even watch Jason X at the cinema, I don't think. Did I? No, I didn't. I didn't. So the remake was the first Friday the 13th movie I ever got to watch at the cinema. And at the time, I really, really enjoyed it. Now, over time, I became surprised to see that the remake didn't have a lot of love from Friday the 13th fans. I mean, in fact, it's pretty hated. And with rewatching it now, it's been a while since I've seen it, to be fair. And from rewatching it now for you guys to do this review, that really surprises me because I still really enjoy this movie just as much as I did the first time I watched it. I think it's one of the better Friday the 13th movies. I do. I mean, if I was to do a list, I mean, I would have part 6 as top, because I love part 6. Then part 4, part 2. I would probably put the remake just under part 2 for me. And I know that's probably sacrilege to say, but I would. And I'll give you the reasons why I really enjoyed this remake. I think it's extremely well directed. It's from the same director that did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake from the 2003, which I really like that remake. And it's got like the same direction, it's got the same like cinematography to it. And I love the cinematography to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I really like it in the Friday the 13th remake as well. I just love how dark it looks. And I just love how dark the movie is. It's like, it's really serious. It's not goofy. It's not cheesy. I just love the atmosphere of this movie as well. I really do. I think they nailed it completely. And also, what a lot of people don't like this movie for is for the characters. Now, as you'd already seen at the start of this video, there's one character I really, really, really can't stand in this movie. But that's because I think the actor did a really great job with his character. That's why I can't stand him so much. But I don't really have an issue with the characters in this movie. Like I say, the people that don't like this movie, that is one of their main gripes. And then they have another one, which I'll get to later. But yeah, they really don't bother me at all. I like our kind of our main lead that we have in this movie, and I'm not even dare gonna try and pronounce the actor's name, but your guy from Supernatural, right? I think he's very likable in this, and you root for him, and you want him to find his sister. You want him to do well. You don't want him to die, and I think he's a good main character, like a hero with this movie that you can actually get behind. And the young girl that accompanies him for a part of this movie as well. I think she does a great job, and you root for her as well. Well, spoiler alert, unfortunately, it doesn't really end well for her, but nonetheless, you're rooting for her until that happens anyway. And also, I will say this, the kills in this movie are brilliant. And I would even say this, the opening 20 minutes, and you heard that right, 20 minutes. Before we even get the Friday the 13th title come up, there's like a 20-minute scene of these young people in the woods and Jason. And it is brutal. There's a kill where Jason's got a young lady in a sleeping bag in a tent, in a sleeping bag, sorry, not a tent, and has threw her over a tree and hanging just above a fire, and it's like burning her alive. It is vicious. And he's like set up traps everywhere. There's a lad that gets his foot trapped in like a bear trap, and it just looks so painful. Like it just does. And while we're talking about the kills, the main man, the guy that makes this movie for me, a massive shout out to Derek Mears, who plays Jason Voorhes in this movie. But Jason in this movie is fucking amazing. I love the portrayal of this character and what they did with him. He's more like a hunter in this. He's not like zombie Jason or anything like that. He's like a hunter, and he's got like an underground lair, and he's got like these tunnels that spread out throughout the camp. That's probably why you can just pop up at like random places. And he can move quick. He's vicious. He's thorough. He can throw an axe. My God, that scene where he just launches that axe into the young lad's back. He's just vicious and nasty, and you never want to bump into the other Jason Voorheeses at all. You don't. And I love what Tim White did, and I love Kane Hodder, what he did as Jason, as I said in my past reviews. And I forget what the gentleman's name is for part 6. And I'm really sorry, I've forgotten his name, but he did a great job for the most part as well. But Derek Mears, you just feel like he just put a lot into this character. And apparently he was a massive fan of Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees as well. And apparently he emphasised a lot with Jason because when Derek was younger, he got bullied a lot with his disabilities and stuff like that. So he poured a lot of that into his character of Jason Voorhees. And he is the massive standout of this movie by a mile. Like everyone else does a good job. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anyone does a bad job in this movie. But for a Friday the 13th movie, you need your Jason Voorhees to work. And my God, does he work. I would say he is the most brutal out of all the Jasons in all the movies. And I have to say, and this is probably going to be a little bit sacrilege as well, I liked the look of him better when he had the sack on his head. Like I say, they take that part from obviously Friday the 13th Part 2 where we didn't have the hockey mask then. He looked more intimidating with that in the beginning, in the opening scene, than what I think he does with the hockey mask on. Now, don't get me wrong when I say that. I think he looks bad ass with that mask on. But it's just something about Sackhead Jason that I just think is creepier, especially in this remake. But yeah, like I said, shout out to Derek Mears, man. Without him, I don't think the movie would work as well as it does. And he absolutely crushes it. And if we ever going to get another Friday the 13th movie, which I really hope we do at some point in the future, I would love to see Derek Mears back as Jason. I would love to see his portrayal as Jason Voorhees again in another movie because it just worked for me. And just to touch on what a lot of people had problems with, the second thing they had problems with was the fact that Jason actually has a hostage. He kidnaps one of the girls from the beginning in this movie because she looks an awful lot like his mother. Now, most people seem to have a problem with that. I don't. It works in the context of the story of what this movie is providing for us. And I actually believe that if there was a woman that looked like Jason's mother, he would probably keep hold of her. Especially this version of Jason that we are getting for this movie. I believe that would happen. Now, I know in past movies, people have pretended to be his mother, like to kind of trick him a little bit, but then he still tried to kill them. I get that. But that's like that Jason for them movies. I believe this Jason, this remake, would do what he did by keeping it there. So it doesn't bother me at all, that part of the movie. I'm trying to. I don't really have many negatives for this movie. The one you probably do know, which, like I say, is at the start of this video. The characters don't bother me, but the character of Trent, my God, is he annoying. He is one of the biggest dickheads in not just horror movies, but any movie ever, ever. And I'm not talking about the actor. I am not talking about the actor. He does a great job because, my God, he makes you fucking hate this prick. And I hate that prick. The moment he got wiped out in this movie, oh my God, I cheered the first time I watched it. And I cheered probably just as much this time around watching it than what I did back then. Can't stand that character at all. But the actor did a great job. So what can I say? Other than that, guys, I have nothing bad to really say about this movie. I really did enjoy this remake. So, the Friday the 13th, 2009 remake will get from me a 4.5 out of 5. I highly recommend you check this out, guys. So, are you the same as me, guys? Do you really enjoy the remake? Are you, I was going to say the few, it's not the few, are you the many that dislike this remake? If you are, guys, just leave a comment below. No matter what it is absolutely always a pleasure hearing from you. And, as always, please, take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you again real soon. Take care, guys. Goodbye now.